Hello, everyone. Coming up here on the Pro Wrestling Show presents the Raw Ring Report. As you see, this right here, Alexa Bliss and Asuka teaming up in the Women's Championship Tag Team Tournament first round. As you see, Nikki Ash and Doudrop, who wants to be involved in advance. Which one of these two teams will advance on to the Women's Tag Team Tournament? And meet Eva Bailey's Team Control. We'll talk about that. Plus, two, a rare appearance from Riddle. Riddle makes a rare appearance, his first appearance since SummerSlam after he got ambushed and attacked from Seth Rollins after they were supposed to have their impromptu match. We'll get to that. And a lot going on Raw as the United States Championship match, the highly anticipated championship match. Bobby Lashley defends his U.S. title against former U.S. champion AJ Styles. That's the Raw Ring Report. Starts right now. Thank you everyone for watching the Raw Ring Report here on the Pro Wrestling Show. We thank you again for watching. Like I said, join in the conversation using the hashtag Pro Wrestling Hill Connect. And don't forget to subscribe. Subscribe is caring. Tell a friend, call a friend, hit that subscribe button so you won't miss a thing here on the Pro Wrestling Show. All right, let's get to it. Let's get down to the nitty gritty on what's going on in all of wrestling. We get started on Raw. Raw kicked off with the Judgment Day. Finn Balor, Rhea Ripley, and Damian Priest, all dressed in suits, all dressed in the top nines. They made a statement tonight, and they made a statement on Rey Mysterio once again as Rhea Ripley. Someone drew this cartoon of Rhea Ripley stalking Dominic and making Dominic, hurt, what. Well, the Judgment Day, looking forward, as we know next week, Damian Priest in the middle will have a big match for himself next week. He will take on the Rated R superstar Edge next week on Raw. Damian Priest will meet Edge next week on Raw in Toronto. Edge's hometown, Toronto, Canada. So we'll get to see that. But the Judgment Day making a statement, and they made a statement indeed earlier tonight on over Rey Mysterio. Plus two, Alexa Bliss and Asuka, along with Raw Women's Champion Bianca Belair, made a rare appearance. Raw Women's Champion. We know that in a couple of weeks at Clash at the Castle, Alexa Bliss, the Women's Champion Bianca Belair, and Asuka will team up in a six-woman tag team match against Bayley, Io Sky, and Dakota Kai. We'll get to see that match, and it's going to be a good one. Bayley returned with Io Sky and Dakota Kai at SummerSlam, interrupting Bianca Belair in her match against Becky Lynch. So we'll get to see that. But it was tag team action for the ladies, and the Bianca Alexa Bliss and them won their match. So Alexa Bliss and Asuka retain wins and advances on to the next round. We know that next week that these two ladies, Alexa Bliss and Asuka, who will meet in the Women's Championship Tournament semi, go against Io Sky and Dakota Kai next week on Raw. But speaking meanwhile, their opponents, Io Sky or Dakota Kai, defeated Dana Brooke and made easy, quick work out of her. And Dakota Kai wins because they keep on that momentum going, heading to their tag team match in the second round of the semifinals of the Women's Championship Tournament against Alexa Bliss and Asuka. We'll get to see that coming forward next week on Raw. Bayley's looking formidable with Bayley with pockets and stuff. Bayley got her team prepped and ready as she normally would. Also, too, Theory. And these are the brackets right here, right now, I meant to say. So you get to see that. And we know that these six women will meet at Clash at the Castle in 3 weeks. Speaking of that, Ezekiel, Ezekiel kind of a little bit hurt and bummed out. As you can tell, they got Ezekiel dad, his brother, Elias, they got everybody and some little boy. So Ezekiel doesn't like that one bit. Even Ezekiel's dad will get his hands on Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens had a little bit problems for himself. He was confronted by number one contender for the Universal Undisputed Championship, um, Drew McIntyre. Now we know that Drew will get a shot at Clash at the Castle, and Drew was talking the same stick that hey, we Raw needs a champion that's going to be there for both brands. So Drew's trying to put himself over, and Drew's trying to get himself ready because he knows that once he gets the time from Roman, the championship won't be held hostage, and you can tell, and we'll get to see that Drew McIntyre becoming a strong face of a champion. You know he's gonna be champion eventually at Clash of the Castle if that kind of happens. If he can defeat Roman Reigns. Also, too, Riddle made his rare appearance. Um, Riddle came out there in the crowd. Riddle told the commentator that he wants Seth Rollins at Cash at the Castle. Riddle will probably get his hands on Seth Rollins at Clash at the Castle. We'll see that match. Hopefully, if Adam Pearce makes it official, we'll get to see that. Also, too, is a face-to-face confrontation. Money in the Bank winner Theory, Austin Theory, confronted Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler was trying to remind Theory that you being the same way I used to be when I was being arrogant and cocky with the briefcase. Now you the hold of the briefcase. I think Theory and Ziggler might have a match at Clash at the Castle. You can tell because you know Theory and Ziggler. But Theory defeated Dolph Ziggler. We'll get to that later on in the show. Also, too, Kevin Owens sending the message to the Usos when he was confronting Drew McIntyre to tell Roman Reigns that he owes him one. And I guess we don't know what that means. Now, what's his name? Solid Monster was saying on his fake YouTube show that he could see Kevin Owens team up with Sami Zayn to dethrone the Usos over the tag team titles because Sami has been under the impression that he thinks the Usos are he's an honorary Uso, but the Usos are taking advantage of him and making him look like a fool. And now Kevin Owens can be the one that snaps Sami Zayn out of it. And Kevin Owens was talking about he wants a championship in WWE. He hasn't held a championship in 5 years. So he lost the top title, the Universal Championship, to Goldberg, and that was the last time he held gold. So Kevin Owens, looking for some gold, and he'll probably get it some way somehow. Speaking of gold, the best of the best, the United States Championship was on the line. As champion Bobby Lashley defended his championship against former U.S. champion AJ Styles. It was a hard fought battle, but AJ tried to utilize all he can do. But AJ, it wasn't the way AJ wanted. But AJ Styles lost, and now Bobby Lashley still retains his goal over AJ Styles. Plus, two, Veer Mahan was in action as well. Veer was in action against a jobber. Veer's trying to look dominant and looking strong. So we'll see Veer Mahan some way somehow get a championship. May get some big high profile feud against somebody sooner rather than later. Plus, two, the Miz and Ciampa showing their bromance in a way, and Miz and Ciampa trying to act like Logan Paul with the cards. Miz and Ciampa won their match against Mustafa Ali and Cedric Alexander. Miz a little bit bloody, but Ciampa holding down Miz and helping Miz out. They look like a unit when you think of a strong tag team unit. But like I said about that. And then I talked about Bobby Lashley with this spear right here to AJ Styles. First time ever for the United States Championship. Lashley emerged victorious over AJ Styles. Lashley getting the win over AJ Styles. Plus two, Dexter Lumis made a rare appearance on Raw, looking like he was trying to confront Miz, but he ran away So I don't know what's going on with Esther Loomis and stuff. We'll see what's going on, as well as Drew and we got who Drew was going against. Drew went against somebody. I guess it was one of the Usos, but Drew likely getting his hands on the Usos. So that's gonna be a match right there. So like I said, Raw ended with Austin Theory winning his match over Dolph Ziggler. So we're gonna see what's happening with that. All right. That ends the Raw Ring Report. We move forward from the Raw Ring Report with Theory. We show Theory one more time. With Theory, and we know next week on Raw, this is going to be happening. Edge taking on Damian Priest 1-on-1 at the Damian Priest who was on the Tulich on the Edge on the learning tree, and now Damian Priest must pay the piper and go against Edge 1-on-1. That'll happen next week on Raw, as well as Alexa Bliss and Asuka. They won their match over and Doudrop and Nikki ASS. But we know this next week it'll be Bayley and Bayley and her team Control getting a shot at the women's tag team championship in the semifinals. Could Bayley lead her team into the semifinals? Bayley, one of the first women to hold the WWE Women's Tag Team titles, and Bayley showing them under her learning tree that they could be champions. So we'll see that next week on the Raw Ring Report. All right. All right. We move forward. Coming up right now, we move forward to Hot Topics on Wrestling Hot Topics. Um, we can tell right now that WWE will be reporting its second quarters, and they said they blame Miss McMahon for just about everything when it comes to ruining characters, holding a lot of stuff, and I guess WWE going to make sure that something like that doesn't happen, and we'll see what's WWE's stake. Also, too, want to wish a happy 35th birthday to Johnny Gangaro. Likely he's coming back to WWE. He celebrated with his family, his wife Candace, his baby his baby son Quilton, and the dog. So the dog and all got involved in the action. Plus, too, Maven and Dolph and Zack Ryder and Matt Cardona showing pictures of the Miz and Seth Rollins being part of the festivities going on. So I'd say everybody's into something this week, and the WWE superstars making a real appearance. Plus, too, Arya Daivari has signed with AEW as a wrestler and a producer. Arya Daivari will be taking the knowledge she knew from WWE and applying it to AEW. So good for Arya. Speaking of producers, Scott Armstrong is signed with Impact Wrestling, and he will be a producer, and he'll be an on-air role talent. We just don't know what he'll do next, but only time will tell on that. Someone wrote this meme about Roman Reigns reaching his 2 years as champion, saying that the Fiend should be the one to take the title from him, but only time will tell on that. We know that what's his name? Um Nick Cage will be challenging John Moxley for the GCW World Title, mentioning their show down the road. But he didn't stop there after he had pizza cut it. I don't know why they like to take the pizza cut from this dude. Um, he pizza cut Matt Cardona and left us. I don't know why he like to do that, but it is what it is. Speaking of producers, Kenny Dykstra made his appearance, and he's a producer for the Women's Talent. Kenny Dykstra back on TV trying to break up the women's fight. So hey, it is what it is. Also, too, Impact Wrestling announced a six-way elimination contenders match. Eddie Edwards, Steve Macklin, Moose, Sam Callahan, Bandino, and Rich Swann. The winner will challenge for the Impact World Championship at Battle for Glory. So you got four former world champions who could Isa and two new ones that could be world champion, but we'll see. Also, too, this is the list of patrons or Patreon accounts. We see Fightful, Post Wrestling, Wrestle Talk. It's a lot of stuff that's kind of wrestling related. But Fightful select got the most. So, do I see Sporkia? No, I don't see them. Well, it's a lot. Also, too, Trevor Murdoch, the NWA champion, said he's invested into the NWA 74. Trevor Murdoch is going to make sure he's invested. Really, on the NWA 74 is not got their strong card, to be honest with him. They were supposed to have Magnus and stuff, but yes, it just didn't turn out the way it did, but it is what it is. All right. Like I said, WWE the earnings report. We heard that there was reports by Miss McMahon and by him had to repay back investors and his ability to hold back characters and stuff rather than WWE flourish. Um, there's a lot, but we'll get more into it tomorrow for the Pro Wrestling Show NXT Ring Report and get more details on it. All right, we're gonna end that on a high note. We're gonna end it with we'll end it with Theory winning at the end over Dolph Ziggler. Me being Kendrick Dick saying so long and thank you for watching the Pro Wrestling Show.